Hello and welcome to Conquering Mount Scrapmore with Brenda. I'm Brenda, and today we start our sew along. Now, there's been a couple of changes that we had to make with our sew along, and I'm just going to quickly explain. Doug Lico and I had a conversation about my quilt, the one that we had hanging up for so long, and it is very, very similar to a pattern he has available on his website. So we chatted back and forth. He's such a nice guy. He's just really a nice guy. So we chatted back and forth and we decided what we're going to do. I'm going to put in the show notes the link to his pattern that you can buy, and we're going to do a different quilt. Now this quilt, we decided we were going to do a mystery quilt, and I was going to teach you things about scale, color placement, and managing your scraps. So we also want to mention is the International Stitch Marathon is July 22nd, 2022. It starts at 9 a.m. Mountain Standard Time to 9 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, and you have the chance to sew with people from the UK, all throughout Canada and the United States, Australia, and New Zealand. We have a list of hosts too, also appearing in the show notes. And in the show notes, you have your Zoom link and your passcode to get into the marathon. So please look down into the show notes. So what we're going to do today is we're going to start picking palettes. Okay, I picked a palette of blues and neutrals, or low volume neutrals. Right, because as you can see, I can't get any more into this box. Now I've already picked out, I get overrun with a color, and now I have to make something. So what I've decided to do is I'm overrun with blue, so this is why I picked my palette this way. Now, if you're not in that situation, you're going to have to pick like your darks and your lights, your mediums, or whatever. As long as it shows up really well against your background, it'll be okay. And also, too, if you have to go use all of your scraps because you don't have enough of one color, or you don't have enough, let's say, cool tones or warm tones or whatever palette that you would love, you can just start throwing in everything because it's going to work. Now, one of the things I will say about the blues, and I'm just going to move this over here, just out of the way for a bit. I try to pick blues that have, like this would, cover the polka dot, right? This kind of reads like it's a botanical or a print, but actually it's a Christmas. Oh, it's Christmas with Christmas bells and little paisleys. Don't forget to put in like your plaids, right? And darker tones as well. Now I do have a few brights in here, and I'm going to line all this stuff up before I start cutting it, to see which one really stands out. Like I consider this a dark, but because there's a lot of yellow in it, it might not make the cut. But I want lots of things to have to draw from. And I've got, little square prints and some more polka dots and another kind of plaid check thing going on here. And I got sunflowers. You have to have some fun. Now this one is probably one of the lightest ones. There's another light one in here too, right? As long as I have good contrast with what I'm putting it up against, I'm okay to use it. I've got reasonably good contrast there. I don't have such great contrast with this one, right? So I wouldn't necessarily put these two beside each other. I might or may not put this one beside this, right? Because it's kind of, so I would want to put this up against something that's really light, and that would be something like this, because then I would have contrast and I wouldn't have to worry about it, right? So those are the kind of things you have to watch. Now, I'm also putting in some larger scale Britannica, some stuff with embossing. Here again is your polka dot, a little bit of batik, bluey green batik. There's a paisley with, a red. I have some Civil War stuff in here too. I decided I'm not going to hold on to the Civil War stuff. I'm just going to put it in. Now the slate blues from the Civil War, I also threw them in. Actually, anything that was medium dark or a dark, like a navy. Like this has got a cute little, you know, there's different little polka dots that create that little design in there. Anything like that. I also decided I was going to throw in my emboss. Anything wild, because that just all adds interest, right? The clouds, these kind of ocean scene things, those are lots of fun. And don't be afraid into throwing in something like this. That will work too. You know, like it's not a very big piece, but people can have fun with it. Some people are opposed to throwing in solids. I am not, so I'm putting that in. Little navy background sailboats and more Civil War palette stars, another plaid, stripes. I always find, this is a big string, I always find I never go to the store and think about buying stripes or plaids, but they're kind of essential to add the largest variety. So, you know, you need to add them in. This may or may not go in. It's kind of a fun little strip, and it definitely is a blue, but, you know, a kid would love something like that. This has got a little red flower in it, and it's adorable, right? So, I mean, we've got some lilies, or I think these are hibiscus. I'm not sure what they are, kind of flowers. I'm going to see whether or not this would work. I put it in. It looks more pink red to me than, or green to me than navy, but it is a navy background, so I would count it as a navy. And we got some lovely fun tulips, and we have another kind of a fun botanical print. And this has been kicking around for decades. So if I can find a place to use some of it, I will. And it's got little farm animals of cats and sheep and bunnies. And, you know, so I figure, okay, we'll throw that in. And we have some of, this is not really, it's sparkly, I guess, if you can see the sparkles in it. Now, this is one I debated. As long as I have good contrast on what I'm putting up against it, because it's a paler slate, but not real pale, I figure, okay, I'm in. I'm not sure if this is going to, the aerial print is going to work. This is such a cute print, though, for a child. So I think we'll try. We've got lots of different stuff in here. Again, the sun and the moons. So this is kind of where we're heading. You know, we might, you know, try and use as much of some of this stuff up as we can. Now, I'm pulling strictly from my scraps. However, if you're not blessed with, you know, a big shoebox of scraps, you might not be able to do this, right? So, you know, kind of work with what you got. This is not a quilt that you have to go out and buy a bunch of stuff, right? Just don't have floral upon floral upon floral, right? Like, this is a floral, but, you know, like if you have more, you know, you put something like a neutral or like kind of a solid beside it. This is a real deep cobalt blue. It looks fine, right? So, and then we have some other more ones that look more solid, but they've got a little pattern. This is kind of fun. And this is quite the big piece of scrap that somebody donated to me. So, like I say, my quilts go to charity, you know, or I'm making quilts for my grandchildren too. So you can see kind of the eclectic mix we got in here. Some of it might not make the final cut. Like, this is kind of cute. I thought that was cute. And it's a really deep navy in the background with kind of a purple rose thing going on. It's neat. So, like I say, I even have some more vintage prints, which I thought was kind of cool. I'm Canadian, so I thought this was a lot of fun, right? The Canadian flag. So, but yeah, like we're just gonna see, and you can get busier blues in there too, and it works. But if you find, just because you've selected for, you know, quilting death, you know, there, and if you don't use it, it's fine. You can always put it back in your box. But stuff like this is cute too, because it's kind of a neutrally slate, deeper slate. This is cute as well to throw in. You know, like you're not throwing in all of it that way. Now, when it came to the neutrals, I have boxes. I have 2 big drawers of neutrals. So what I did with my neutrals this morning, or my background colors, I'm just going to move this out of the way so you can see what I'm doing. I decided anything with a blue on it, no matter how small it was going into this quilt. So I would pick it for quilting. Now there's not, like this has just a little bit of pale blue in it, so I figured, okay, that's good. I can throw that in. I can put this piece up against any navy and it would work. It would read as a, this one would read as a neutral or a background color because it's lighter than a brown paper bag. When you put it in grayscale photo, this is a neutral, this one right here, even though it looks like a really pale blue. And this one, of course, is neutral. This is a beautiful Civil War neutral, again. You know, it's, there's some, yeah, I've got some fun boats. I've got some plaids here that I thought would work. This, believe it or not, is a neutral. It reads lighter than a brown paper bag, and I'm going to see if I like it. I haven't decided whether or not it's going in. This is just a fun piece that you throw in as a neutral. So is this. I've got some larger scale stuff, and I'm not sure whether or not I'm going to put it in, but it's out. We're considering it. And you got the birds and the, you know, the plants. This has got blue in it, but it's a stripe. So depending on how this is cut, whether or not it's going to be too much blue or not for a neutral, but it's under consideration. This is a real pale blue polka dot. So you want a bunch of different textures here as well, right? So I got some blue butterflies and, you know, just little blue part. Now this is a very pale blue. And I just thought that was such a lovely piece. This is fun in a kid's quilt, you know. So this doesn't look like it meets that criteria, but it does have some little hits of blue. So when I cut this into pieces, like rectangles or whatever, these little bits of blue here might come out very well and highlighted and everything else. So I've got a stack of this to go. So you've got to pick through all your stuff, the little blue flowers. So what I would do is right now, get your scraps ironed and ready. Just get it ready for cutting, right? Cutting up, and we'll start with the sew along on the next video that's coming out. And, you know, like, don't be afraid to throw stuff like this in. It'll be fun. It'll be fine. Stuff like this is cool too. I haven't decided whether this reads as a pale blue or a background, but up against a navy, it's going to read as a pale color. So I even have cheater cloth in here. I have anything that had a bit of blue, basically got thrown into the mix. This is cute with the birds. This has got a bit of blue. It's a darker, but it does work as a neutral. Like I say, I got a bunch of fun ones here. And this one I just love. My friend Poppy gave this to me. And when I saw it, I was just, oh, it's so adorable. Because this could go with teal, it could go with blue, it could go with pink. You know, a nice stripe, a nice little shimmery piece, you know. So here we go. So let's see, and I did put in, I will admit this, I put in a bit of yardage that I'm not sure what to do with. So this is, you know, yardage. Now, you can use both sides of a piece of fabric because you buy both sides. This might be the perfect neutral because it mutes everything out really well. This is just a fun piece. I just thought this was so cute. And it's got a little bit of blue and yellows and pinks and just bright and happy. This was donated to me as yardage. And I just, wow, when I saw this, I just went, wow. I thought, oh, this is so gorgeous. I don't know if I'm going to cut this up as pieces for the quilt or do something else with it right now. But right now it's under consideration. This is also, you know, a good, what is it, quarter yard or a third of a yard or whatever. And this bee fabric was donated. And it's a Northcott print. It's just beautiful. But it's got little bits of blue, little bits of pale blue along the dots. And I've got a bunch of other stuff in here. Like, this is fun. So, anyways, here we go. That's how I'm picking my palette. So, pick your palette, iron everything. And don't worry about whether or not you're going to use it. Just, you can always pull something out and iron it. You don't have to cut into it. Now, the other thing is, we're going to start teaching you how to make templates. Oh, I should probably put something light behind it. Hang on. We're going to make something to make templates with. Now, if you have rulers, you know, there's certain rulers that you get that I like to use, and I have used them several times. But, I mean, we're going to teach you how to make templates. We're also going to teach you how to do paper piecing as well. I find this tool, the Trirex tool, I don't know if you can see that Trirex tool. There we go. Is that better? Okay, let's see. I use this tool quite a bit. But if you don't have this tool, I'll give you templates, or I'll give you either templates or paper piecing instructions for the block that you need to do. This is another tool that I really like when I'm making half square triangles for flying geese, is this tool. It's called the Easy Angle tool. Now, we can put this one in the show notes below as well, but this is a lot easier for me to use. You can make your half square triangles any way you want, but you're going to be needing them for a flying goose, right? So this is why I like this piece. Now, another piece that I know a lot of people don't have. This is the piece I made for this template. Okay, for a 3.5 inch scale. Now that's a lot larger scale. This is a Marty Michelle template for 4.5 inch scale. Now it's got, these products here are just beautiful to work with. But I have given you either where you can cut and make your own templates, or you can make the block by paper piecing, like foundation paper piecing. So we're going to come up, like I say, this is coming up in 3 different sizes. So you pick your scale, whether it's a 2-inch scale, a 2.5 inch scale, or a 3.5 inch scale. So you have a choice which scale you want to work in. And we're going to teach you things about color placement and scale and value. Okay, so, but this is my palette I'm going to work with. So I better get busy and start ironing. So we'll start dropping parts of the pattern later on, you know, in the next episode that you'll need to do. But this is going to come fast and furious. I actually sat down and did the 3.5 inch scale quilt, all the ironing, all the cutting and sewing in 2 days. So this comes together really quickly. So I hope you come join us for our sew along. But I also hope that you come join us on that International Stitch Marathon, July 22nd, 2022. It's going to be 12 hours of fun and enjoyment. You get to meet a lot of other YouTubers on there, but you also get a chance to meet a bunch of other quilters. Just other people that are just normal, happy, that, you know, want to come hang out for the day. So, I would love to see your palette, and I'm excited to get started on this. This is going to be so much fun. Pick your palette, and if you don't have enough to make one color, or, you know, one color in a background or whatever, you know, keep throwing colors together. It'll be lovely. It'll all be fine. But pick your palette, iron everything really well so it lies perfectly flat, and then we'll start with the cutting. You also have to think about what scale you like to work in. Whether you like to make small blocks and put them together, or whether you like to make larger blocks. And that's going to be dictated by the size of scrap you have. This piece, for instance, I can't get a 3.5 inch strip out of. It's 3 inches and it's long and narrow. So if I'm going to use this, I would have to use it at a 2.5 or 2 inch, right? So you kind of have to think, okay, my scraps aren't big enough to make the big pieces. And that's why I'm doing it in 3 different sizes, because I don't know how big your scraps are. So, you know, you have to, in order to use your scraps, you might have to, you know, pick which palette would work best for them. So, see you here next time. Remember, we drop on Mondays and Thursdays. It's going to be a blast. Okay, you take care until then, and next time we start actually cutting and start working on our pieces. Okay, bye! My husband and I would like to thank you for watching today. We're so happy about the way our channel has grown, and we just want to wish you so well in your journey along with us. Please like, share, and subscribe, and tell your friends. Now, the next thing is this quilt. We are wondering if you guys would like this quilt as a free sew along on this channel this fall, this coming fall, winter. We were kind of thinking that this one would be really fun to do. We could do it in a larger size or a smaller size, it's up to you, but this one was a lot of fun to make. And it's all, it lends itself to being hand stitched, but you can also do this on a sewing machine as well. So let us know in the comments below. Remember, share, like, subscribe, tell your friends. Okay, have a great week ahead. Bye!